Hey everyone, today is day 3 of Women's Cancer Awareness Month, gynecological cancer in particular. And so one of the things I'm going to talk about is warning signs. I'm going to talk about the two big ones today that a lot of women kind of ignore because it happens to quite a few of us and we don't always think that it's going to cause us any problems. One of them is almost like a relief when you have it happen to you because you're like, oh, I didn't have a cycle this month. Yes. So one of the things to worry about when looking for warning signs is if you do not cycle. I'm one of those people who didn't cycle regularly for 2 years. I had like intermittent cycle periods here and there, but it was never like normal. And I just thought, oh well, you know, I mean, I know my weight's probably part of the problem, and I just didn't even worry about it, not realizing that if you go more than 60 days without a period, it's bad. Like they don't warn you that cancer can, I mean, some doctors do. Some doctors are really good and they do let you know that cancer can form if you don't have periods. And I never knew that. Not one doctor said to me, now you know, you can get cancer if you don't have a period. I did have one doctor that gave me Provera to kind of force a period. He did that a few times for me. I cannot tell you how important it is. If you are not getting a period and you've gone more than 60 days, you need to go see your gynecologist and they need to be putting you on Provera or one of the progesterones because you have to have a cycle. If you're not cycling, you're more likely to have cancer growth. So you need to get in there and you need to talk to your doctors about putting you on some sort of progesterone therapy. And what they can do is if you're not cycling normally, they can put you on different medications that will help you to cycle. Some women go on Clomid, things like that, but you can't be on those for long term. So progesterone therapy is something a lot of, especially older women do progesterone therapy to kind of help regulate their cycles. Because as you get older, your cycles get more further apart and things like that. But when you're young and you're not having a period, I think my period started going crazy when I was in my 20s. I would go bouts of not having them, and then I'd have like crazy periods after that, which I'll get to in a minute. And one of the things that you can do for yourself to make sure you're cycling is keep a record of your cycle. I don't care if you're 14 years old or 25 or 50. Keep a record. Go on fertilityfriend.com or it's called Taking Care of Your Fertility is another one that you can go on. Go on there, take notes, learn how to chart. It's like the best thing I ever did. I actually did natural family planning because my husband and I were trying to get pregnant, but we also figured, well, heck, if it can also help you not get pregnant in between babies, then this would be great too. But of course, we never had to use that piece of it. But, you know, it taught me how to, how to chart my cycle, how to use the thermometer, how to do all the things that a lot of people don't realize is so important. If you are having an odd cycle, chart it. Even if you're not trying to get pregnant. That way you can have doctors look at it and they can say, hey, this is not good, you're not ovulating, we need to get you on something that's going to help you ovulate. If you have PCOS, which is another thing that can cause women, it's called polycystic ovarian syndrome. If you suffer from PCOS, which is also this month is PCOS Awareness Month, that too can cause you not to cycle. So, and if you have untreated PCOS for too long a period of time, you can get endometrial cancer or uterine cancer. So you have to make sure you're getting treatment for your PCOS as well. So those are, because they cause you not to cycle. Anything that causes you not to cycle is going to cause problems. So you need to make sure you're working on that and getting those things taken care of. The second thing that I'm going to talk about is heavy bleeding. If you're having blood clots and things like that, it's not a fun thing to talk about, but it's something that I'm serious. If you have any blood clots, you need to talk to your gynecologist. It is not normal to have big clots. And if that's happening, that can be a sign that cancer's starting. And I would request a biopsy if you haven't already had one to check to make sure if you're having irregular or heavy bleeding, that is not normal, and you need to talk to your gynecologist about that and see what they recommend, because 9 times out of 10, endometrial cancer is not one that it runs in families. It's not one that doctors go, oh yeah, we could check for that. The only way to check for it is to do a biopsy, and it is not fun. It's really painful, but if you don't do it, you're a ticking time bomb, because if it's in the endometrium, they can cure it with like hormone therapy. But once it gets into your uterine wall, there's really not much more they can do for you, and that's why people end up with the surgeries, because they don't listen to their bodies. So if you're having extreme bleeding, or you're not having cycles, or you're bleeding all over the place, like you're not bleeding every 30 days, you're bleeding every, like you'll bleed one day and then like 2 weeks later you're bleeding again, and then that's irregular bleeding. So you need to make sure that you're going in and talking to your doctors about these things, because I'm telling you, early detection is the key. So make sure that you're getting in there and you're talking to your gynecologist about anything that's irregular about your cycle. I wish I'd have gone in and talked to my doctors before it got to this point, because now I'm dealing with cancer. If I had done it 5 years ago or 4 years ago and really hankered down and worked with my doctors, I wouldn't be dealing with cancer right now. So part of the problem is me. I was just like, this can't possibly be bad. I mean, I'm not having a period. That's gotta be great, right? Or, oh, my bleeding's heavy, but that's okay, because when I was in my 20s, I had really bad bleeding. So I probably had precursors of cancer in my 20s. And then by the time I got into my 30s, it was just, it was already starting to get to the point where cancer cells were growing. So don't let it get to that point. Don't let it get that bad. If your cycles are heavy and you have lots of blood clots and things like that, you need to get in and talk to your doctor as well. So those are my 2 big tips for today for looking for things to look for women who are trying to be diagnosed with cancer before it gets bad. So just make sure you do that and check out those 2 things. So that's day 3, and I hope everybody's having a great September.